Welcome everybody to our RIDI Awards roundtable. My name is Paul Deemer and I am the Head of Diversity and Inclusion at NHS Employers. I'm also a member of the RIDI Executive, which I'm very proud of, so I'm delighted to be here today. And the purpose of today is to highlight the Getting Started category of the RIDI Awards. This award recognises an organisation who's just begun their journey to be disability confident. We celebrate the steps taken to engage staff across the business, the changes that they've made to reflect more inclusive practices, and the motivation shown in getting up to speed. The award is also designed to showcase an organisation who, although at the start of their journey, can demonstrate that they are fully committed to inclusivity and are stepping up to the plate to achieve this. So in our roundtable today, I'm really pleased to say that we are joined by Hannah and Charlotte from the category winner, GTI RPO, and also our fantastic RIDI chair, Kate Headley. So let's start with some introductions. And Kate, would you like to kick us off?
Yeah, thanks, Paul. So I'm Kate Headley. I'm known hopefully to some of our audience, if not all of you, and I'm so proud to be here today. I'm the founder and chair of the Recruitment Industry Disability Initiative, which has one purpose, which is to create a disability confident recruitment industry. And how you get started is the biggest part of that. So really delighted to be part of this panel today. Day job is that I'm one of the directors of the Clear Company, which is a diversity and inclusion consultancy and solutions business. And I also support a number of government initiatives on disability confidence. But for today, I'm just a panel member responding to questions and enjoying the conversation.
Fantastic. Thank you, Kate. And Hannah, could you perhaps introduce yourself and also tell the audience a little bit about who GTI RPO are?
Yeah, so thank you so much for having us, Paul and Kate. I'm Hannah Harrison. I'm the Business Director of GTI Recruiting Solutions, which incorporates RPO business under recruitment technology. And we are part of a big organisation called Group GTI, which is all focused around student employability. So early careers recruitment. We have our kind of core product Target Jobs, which people might be familiar with. But the whole business is all about helping young people make better decisions about their future and supporting young people in getting that first job.
Okay, fantastic. And Charlotte, what do you do at GTI RPO?
Perfect. Thank you so much for having us today. So I am Charlotte Heck. I work as a client partner within Hannah's team. So I work within the RPO team, and my job is to support our clients in delivering either their recruitment campaigns or supporting them while they're using our recruitment technology. So whether that be our applicant tracking system or our virtual program management tool. So I support clients in delivering their goals, which also incorporates interacting with their candidates as well. So I'm there to be a support on both sides.
Okay, fantastic. All right, thank you, Charlotte. So let's get into the nuts and bolts of why we're here today. I'm going to kick off with a question for Hannah. And Hannah, I think I'm right in saying that your disability confident journey grew out of the mental health impacts that you were seeing amongst your client group. Is that right? And if so, can you tell us a bit more about that, please?
Yeah, so I mean, I think as an RPO business, we've always had to support our clients in embedding diversity initiatives that, you know, obviously includes disability, but also lots of other initiatives as well. And I think we were increasingly getting questions about how can we make our process more inclusive? How can we support candidates with a full range of disabilities and challenges? And I think we had specialists within our team that kind of knew, enough to support, but we felt that we needed to do a lot more to make sure that the whole team was equipped to support clients. And I think particularly around mental health, it was something that was really kind of growing as a topic of conversation within the recruitment industry. And we felt that in order to be able to support, we needed to understand it ourselves and also support our own staff, because I think it's very easy when you're a supplier or a kind of a partner to clients that you focus on them a lot, but actually you forget to kind of get your own house in order. And I think we felt it was time to really focus on our own team and how we could support them.
Yeah, That's a really important thing. And is that, Kate, is that something that you see with other employers that you work with as well, the need to sort of educate themselves, if you like, as an organisation?
Yeah, definitely, Paul. And it's something that we admire actually and embrace. And if we look back with one of the RIDI core partners at Guidance, obviously in similar space to our colleagues here today, then that was the beginning of their journey as well. And what we look for in a disability confident recruiter and partner is that absolutely you need to be confident yourselves and have that diversity internally, and have your own house in order to confidently go out and support clients. It adds a level of authenticity that you just can't create in a purely commercial model, if you like. If you just put it into your commercial proposition, then it's very easily and quite quickly transparent that this isn't part of the authentic nature of the organisation. So that is one of the key things we look for at RIDI, particularly in our award winners.
Okay. So Charlotte, let's talk about what you did next. So having identified an issue and a challenge, if you like, for your organisation, where did you go to find information for yourselves, and where did you get your inspiration from, apart from RIDI, of course?
Absolutely. So obviously, in terms of our inspiration, as Hannah mentioned before, we were really inspired to kickstart this conversation. First of all, to be able to deliver for our clients, but also to make sure that we, as an internal team, felt that we had that knowledge and were able to support each other as well. So when it came to our Mental Health Awareness Month, which is kind of one of the topics that we spoke about in our RIDI entry, when it came to formulating that, I was part of the team that was setting up that month. And so to gather information, we were first of all making use of free resources. There's a great abundance of resources online. For us particularly, it was Mind, the mental health charity, that was able to support with a lot of that, a lot of those free resources. But we also wanted to draw upon the resources of connections and contacts that we had as well. So we actually partner with a company called Employability, and they support us with our kind of recruitment and in the way of supporting candidates with disability related adjustments. And so we reached out to them and thought, this would be a really great opportunity for you to come in and speak to us in terms of, disability and mental health and how that might impact within the recruitment process. And they came in and did some training with us on adjustments and stuff like that. And we were also able to reach out to some of our contacts at STEM 10 who came in and did unconscious bias training, which was really, really valuable for our team in terms of the role that we were doing. In terms of gathering some more information, but also supporting each other internally, we were able to draw upon everybody has their own experiences, lived or from friends, family, colleagues, and so being able to cultivate an environment where people felt that they could talk about their own challenges and experiences was really, really great to have as well. Obviously, we had support from RIDI coming through on our monthly newsletters and stuff like that. We could see events that were coming up. So I actually attended an event which was all around terminology around disability and stuff like that, which I thought was absolutely fantastic, and we were able to take away the learnings and share that within our team. And then since then, we've actually been able to put in place mental health first aiders as well. So we've been able to take it that step further of, supporting people, but then actually doing something to take that a little bit further too. So there's a wide range of things there.
Yeah, no, that's really, really helpful actually. But it sounds, Hannah, correct me if I'm wrong, as if that Mental Health Awareness Month was the catalyst for all of this. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think I'm, particularly looking back on it now, given the year we've just had, I think I'm so grateful that we just, bit the bullet and got on with it and did that month, because, it felt quite a big task at the time. We just hadn't really had that conversation before, I don't think, as a business. It wasn't that we didn't have a supportive culture, but I don't think we'd really kind of embraced it as we all need to talk about this kind of topic. The reason we didn't want to just do a week or a day was because we felt like something so important as mental health needed longer to embed in our culture and in the conversation. So actually making it a month and having all these different challenges and sessions that we did like kind of a step challenge and we did training and we had kind of conversations. Actually, it really kind of got it into our culture that that's how we would do things. And actually, those things have kind of continued over the last year. We're still doing step challenges, we're still doing exercise challenges, we're still having conversations. We've now got that, as Charlotte said, we've got mental health first aiders. We've trained every single manager in the business that's line managing people about mental health. So I really feel like that cultural shift has happened. It hasn't just been something that we've done kind of, to tick a box, so to speak. It's something that's really become part and parcel of the way that we operate as a business. And it's a conversation that we have at a leadership level. And so I sit on our kind of leadership team, and it's something that we talk about a lot now in a way that we never did, a year, 2 years ago, which is fantastic.
Yeah, I think that's interesting, isn't it, Kate? Because I think that's often what we hear from organisations, isn't it? They don't quite know where to start with this stuff, do they?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm listening here to the conversation, obviously, also listen to your entry and to the judges' comments on that entry. And I used the word earlier, it's this authenticity, isn't it? But also, I know in the discussions you had with Jake when you were doing your interview, you talked about the fact that you wanted to create an environment of trust so that people would share, and then it would snowball from there, really. And I can't emphasize enough to anybody who's listening to this that this is not rocket science. It's not complicated. It's about putting some of those basics in place, about having that conversation and opening up that dialogue. But you have to genuinely want it to happen, and genuinely be supportive of people who are finding it less comfortable to have those open conversations. And to Hannah's point earlier, investing in those hiring managers and those directors and those leadership people, to give them the confidence and the tools to respond, having opened up an organisation, to have conversations it wasn't having before. But I think this is just a perfect example of that holistic approach of touching everybody in a way that works for them, reaching out everywhere you could, not spending oodles of money, but putting some of those basics in place with trusted partners such as Mind. I mean, you can't get better than that. It was a great shout to do that. Mental health first aiders, we hear some fantastic case studies. There was one profiled at our House of Lords event a couple of years ago, actually. So, yeah, absolutely right. Just get that dialogue going. If you have no money, if you have no confidence and you don't know where to start, then listening circles, even a book club, by the way, can also help in terms of that, choosing some things to read together collectively as an organisation and put some, conversations together in terms of, how you communicate on social media internally can really work as well. But I can't emphasize enough. I just think this is such a great example. And in an industry that's really pushed, really challenged, in a year that was more challenging than ever, to have invested all of that time and doing that so well and so robustly, I think is great. It's really good to hear. It gives me hope.
Absolutely. And you spoke earlier, Charlotte, about how the activities that you introduced allow people to talk about and discuss their own lived experiences as well. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Hannah was actually one of the first to open up, and being the director of our RPO business was a fantastic example, and I cannot say enough how much I admire you, Hannah, for doing that, and being able to come and speak to our whole team and just say openly, this is my experience. And even over the past lockdown, we had a period where I believe it was like Mental Health Awareness Day, that was across the lockdown period, where people were sharing. We had a video from our CEO. We had people, typing out if they didn't feel comfortable writing, filming a video. They had them typing out, this is experience that I've had. I've been able to share my own experiences as well. So I think it definitely has opened up that conversation, and having people from all levels of the business kind of join in, it really makes it feel like it's absolutely okay for anyone to come with this issue. And obviously I hope that my colleagues agree, but I'm sure they do, because it's just one of those snowballing effects, like you said, Kate, earlier, where it's just getting that ball rolling and then getting more and more people joining in, and I can certainly feel that happening at GTI, which is perfect.
Brilliant. Thank you, Charlotte. But having said that, Hannah, of course, as a leader, you will know as well that there's also a pressure to measure the impact of these things. So how have you gone about sort of evidencing the impact of what you've done?
I think absolutely, and I wish that there was a kind of magic formula for doing it, and certainly we haven't got. And I haven't got any, statistics to share with you about, kind of staff surveys or anything. But I think what I will tell you is the level of conversation that happens now about this topic is exponentially, going up compared to how we were a few years ago. And I think, the investment from the business in terms of, having mental health first aiders. We have people on, mental health first aiders on call all the time, so people can book in. If they need support, we regularly talk as a leadership team about what are we going to do next. And that's something, in terms of measurement, for me, it's about how regular is the conversation that's happening around this topic, or is it something we just do once a year and then forget about? Absolutely not. It's something that we talk regularly about and talk about as what's the next initiative, what are we going to do? And as you said earlier, it's not about spending lots of money on it. I think it's about focusing on it and being honest and open and talking about it, and also doing little things. I mean, I think one of the most impactful things we did during the mental health month, but also again, is just send thank you cards to people and say, we did these kind of gratitude cards where we kind of put all the cards on everyone and wrote messages to each other about these are the things that I really admire about you and I'm really grateful for. And sending everyone we just sent everyone in the company an Easter egg and said, thank you so much for all the work that you've put in. It's been a tough year, but we really appreciate your support. These things don't cost a lot of money, but it shows people that they can, we're grateful for the work that they do, but also that they can talk to us if they've got a problem.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're talking to the right person there, Hannah, about that. Obviously, I work within the NHS, so we very, very quickly picked up that it wasn't, people didn't want huge things. They just wanted some acknowledgement and some recognition, and not even gratitude. It was just just small things, really.
And actually, my husband works for the NHS, and he got a card through from his trust saying thank you, and have a day off on your birthday. All of these little things that actually, unfortunately, were almost surprising. That gosh, that's a really lovely thing for us to do. But I think we forget the power of thank you, and we forget the power of how are you, and we forget the power of I'm not okay, I need some help. And I think all of those things are actually way more important than any training course we could send anyone on. It's just about being genuine and being ourselves and being honest about how we are.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But going back to the impact thing, Kate, what would your advice be to organisations around, I mean, Hannah mentioned staff surveys, and that's something that we use a lot in the NHS to measure and gauge. Are there other ways that organisations can measure impact as well?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously, engagement surveys and wellbeing surveys, etc., are really key at the moment. I know organisations are doing a lot of work in that area to measure how things move on, but we're kind of getting to a little bit of survey weariness as well, so that can bring its own stresses. So a little word of caution there. But I think other things that we get that people notice, you create an open culture, and then people start to have a conversation. So instead of struggling on all day and being present but unproductive, or taking a day off sick because they can't cope, they can have a conversation with their colleagues or their managers that means actually, because they had that 3 o'clock in the morning panic attack, I always refer to the fact I don't know anybody, I've never met anybody who hasn't woken up at some point in their lives at 3 o'clock in the morning and not been able to go back to sleep again, and then drag themselves into work unproductively. And I think an organisation such as GTI, where you've actually set up your situation so that dialogue can happen, so you can have that conversation that says, I'll come in, is it okay if I come in at 11? I had a really bad night last night and I'm struggling a bit. Means that you can measure your productivity in terms of, and you're in an organisation that measures quite a lot, I suspect, in terms of productivity, sickness absence levels, and And also, I think there's other measures beyond this. I think the impact of creating the culture, you've created that around mental health. That's been your pivotal journey. But what you're actually creating is an organisation of trust, and that opens up a lot of other conversations about, you know, flexible working, about not looking askance when somebody leaves early, about accepting that behind every closed door there's a story that you might not know, so don't judge it. And I think all of those measures of the positive conversations as opposed to the judgmental conversations, your sickness absence levels, your levels of disclosure, your numbers of requests for help, the dialogue on the channels, are all things that you can measure, and some of them are tangible, and some of them, to be quite honest with you, you can just feel, and I'm sure that's how you're feeling at the moment. And to be able to feel that at a distance in a virtual world is imagine how you're going to feel it when you go back, and that's going to be the key, is sustaining it. How do you keep that balance when you go back? But yeah, that's what I would say. But you have to, I would say, try and measure it in a way that's positive and constructive, and isn't just about numbers, but it's a way you can feed back to your organisation and celebrate the fact that, you know, we've had these stories, and this time last year we didn't even know each other's first names. I mean, that kind of thing is a powerful measure, I think. It's just me.
Yeah, no, I agree. And simplicity can be the great thing. We've got a great tool on our website, actually, which is a How Are You tool. It's just three smiley faces, yeah, or one smiley, one's not so smiley, and one's less smiley, you know. And people are just encouraged to do that every day, and it just gives you that sort of gauge and pulse, really, for about, you know, how things are. Okay, so let's start to finish by going back to the beginning. So this is the Getting Started Award. So Charlotte, if you were talking to some of the people who are watching here today, what would you advise people about how they get started with this?
Yeah, no, absolutely. In terms of getting started, I would say it can feel like a very daunting experience, because the world of disability, diversity and inclusion is quite big. There's a lot to cover in terms of the topic. You kind of sit there and you think, how on earth could I even make a start? And I think my tip would be to just focus on even one aspect of it. I think, you know, at GTI, our aspect that we wanted to look at was mental health as a starting point. And I think, you know, that's been something that we have been able to develop and grow over the past couple of years. But I think it's also then put us in the position where we feel like we could then, you know, take that next step and think about, okay, so what other areas of disability could we now think about? So it doesn't have to be that you have to tackle the whole thing all in one go. I think it's, you know, taking it in small chunks and being able to, you know, think about that and develop that first before then moving on to the next things, because it is a journey. It's not going to be something that people just, you know, wake up one day and everybody's an expert on it, as much as we might like that to happen. It is a journey that we do need to go through. So yeah, just, you know, being able to take it in those smaller chunks is definitely my tip.
Okay, brilliant, thank you. And Hannah, your final thoughts and pearls of wisdom you can throw upon us?
I think whenever anyone mentions initiative, as a leader, you always think, oh gosh, that's going to be expensive. And actually, so much of what we did, I mean, like, you know, 99% of what we did not cost any money. Yes, we did do some training. We felt that was important. But equally, the majority of stuff that we did were just people's ideas and people's time, and people's attitude to getting it right that made the difference. So it doesn't have to be a costly exercise. It's very much about just having the passion and the commitment to just get started and just get doing it and keep doing it. And when it doesn't go right, keep doing it some more. And you know, we've had such success. You know, I just can't believe the journey that we've been on, and how well that equipped us as a team to get through the last 12 months. I just, you know, I feel like it's just given us that absolute platform to support our team and to get through in a way that I don't think we otherwise would have.
Brilliant. Okay, thank you. And thank you both for everything you've done. Kate, finally, what would your advice be to employers about how they start this journey, but also how you keep the momentum going as well?
Yeah, good point, Paul. I've just got to reflect on what Hannah just said in terms of, you know, if we hadn't done this, you know, I don't know how we'd have got through the last year. You're basically saying that, you know, what started as a programme to embrace disability confidence equipped you as a team. And I like the word team as opposed to company. Equipped you as a team to get through what the last 12 months has thrown at us. So I think, you know, I don't think anybody listening to and watching this needs to hear anything else other than that, because you know that just says it all, doesn't it? But to answer your question, Paul, to get started, it doesn't matter how small that journey is. So at GTI, you've done a lot, but actually any one of those individual components is a starting block. You know, the RIDI resource, so Nick Goss doing the Mind the Manners event, which is just building that confidence and giving people permission to speak and have those dialogues, is a really good starting point. And we'll definitely be doing some of those again once we can get Nick out and in front of people. I can assure you of that. And so just those small pieces, you know, do whatever is within your gift. But what you've done that you haven't mentioned overtly, but you've done it, is you've engaged everybody in it. So it's been a whole team effort. So it's not been something that's been done to the business. It's been something that the business has done. And I think in terms of getting started, that's a really good way of doing it. And that answers the second part as well, Paul, which is that if it's an initiative, you know, to your point, Anne, in terms of, you know, it's a leader, you know, it's an initiative, it's going to cost you money. And also, if the person running that initiative leaves, then who's going to own it? Well, you haven't got an initiative, you've got a program of change going on here, and that's how that's how it becomes sustainable. And that would definitely be my top tip, is try and avoid something that's a short-term program that has lots of fanfares and trumpets and one person owning it and putting a resource in and getting overexcited, because they can stop as quickly as they start. But I think if we come back in a year, and I hope that we do, and hear the next in this series of this story, I think it'll still be have the same momentum and it'll have reached a new level. So thank you again on behalf of RIDI. Thank you so much for what you do.
Very welcome.
Absolutely, and thank you everybody. So thank you, Kate, for joining us today. Thank you, Hannah and Charlotte, particularly, and congratulations again on your award. And if you want more information about the RIDI Awards, please visit the website, which is www.ridi.org.uk, and sign up for our newsletter. So thank you and goodbye.
Thank you.